These synthesizers were released over 40 years ago, and these synths came out in just the last few years. And isn't this getting a bit, well, stale?
We just did this. And we just do this.
A bunch of hieroglyphics. White blinking lights. Do you Eurorack? If you do, then you will really understand the title of this video, because Eurorack is where it's at. If you think regular synthesizers are getting stale, Eurorack could be your ticket, because basically, you can build your own synthesizer. And these days, the sky's the limit on the number and type of modules you can get.
Sure, it's a giant money pit, and the power situation kind of sucks. And you could buy a brand new unit, not know how to hook it up, and end up frying it. And that's why it's a giant money pit.
And other than the fact that you spend half of your time moving wires around and having to recall how all of this works, it's great. I mean, who doesn't want to own this, or this, or this? I don't know about you, but I feel Pavlovian urges coming over me.
So why is that exactly? I mean, Eurorack looks like a lot of work, and I'm kind of lazy. Well, I think I've nailed it down to a few things. A few things that synth manufacturers might want to take note of.
This is a synth I own. So is this. And here is a groove box. These are pretty plain looking.
Are you yawning?
Maybe you disagree. Well, I've been doing some shopping. Let me show you a couple of things.
This is the Insturo R-Bar. It's a granular unit with 6 algorithms, and it looks fantastic. Like a black and gold steampunk masterpiece designed by King Tut. This is the Noise-It Instruments Quasar. This ultimate stereo module looks like controls for a starship designed by Meowwolf creators. How about the plasma voice from Game Changer Audio? I mean, it's not really that cool. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, it kind of is. How about just about anything from Qubit Audio? The Insturo Luba? Cool. IO Labs Flux? Cool. And of course, the only Eurorack unit I currently own, Plinky. Is it just me, or have all these Eurorack creators been influenced by a combination of The Mummy and Stargate? I'm not complaining. I mean, go watch SG Season 1 again, because I need more gear to lust over.
So everybody says, don't buy a book based on the cover, or a wine based on the label, or choose a YouTube video based on the thumbnail. I mean, that seems crazy, right? But a recent study shows that 80% of people do just exactly that.
So synth manufacturers, you can make some really cool looking stuff, but maybe it's time to up your game, because this is what you're up against, and it's pretty sweet looking. Hopefully I haven't lost my audience on this video starting out with looks, because musicians should really be worried about sound. Synths have pretty much had great sound nailed down for decades, but recently, with some notable exceptions, the major synth manufacturers haven't really been leading the way in terms of new types of synthesis. In the world of Eurorack, though, I dug up a couple of cool things. This is the Bifaco Honoroy. It's a drone synth, brought to my attention by one of my followers. It's got a looper, filter, resonator, noise, echo, and is a drone, ambient, horror movie soundtrack masterpiece. Noise-It Instruments Warp is an additive and wavetable module. And yes, we selected this instrument for the sounds cool section, not the looks cool section. Let me tell you though, it was a tough choice. But here's why sound won out. Okay, one more. The Qubit Nautilus. This is a delay unit, and it sounds quite nice. So regular old synth manufacturers, what do you have as an answer to this volley? Because it's a heck of a volley. Well, this was recently released. It's a step in the right direction, I say, but it's not a leap. This was also released. It looks like one of these painted black. Regular synths are starting to repeat themselves, and the repetitiveness is getting boring, and that's not a good thing. In the world of Eurorack, on the other hand, they don't seem to be afraid to scale up the ladder and dive from the platform. Case in point, let's look at IO Labs' latest Kickstarter module, Particles. This thing looks like Droplets on steroids. FYI, Droplets was a VST released earlier this year. You can draw everything on a touchscreen with a stylus. It's got portals and black holes and multiple ways to create randomness. It's almost like an 80s video game morphed into a synthesizer, and it looks super interesting.
Okay, maybe that one's not really mainstream enough where you're going to sell 20,000 units, but IO Labs is taking chances, and this thing looks fresh and interesting. Speaking of mainstream, though, there is one thing that came out last year that was definitely mainstream and a bit different. This.
Yeah, the keybed was groundbreaking and unique and different, but so was the fact that this is essentially powered by a Eurorack brain. This puts Eurorack in the hands of people who don't want to worry about power problems or cables or having no presets. This appeals to musicians who are tinkerers, and this appeals to musicians who may not be. And that's really cool, and it moves the ball down the field.
I'm not trying to rag on synth manufacturers. I mean, they work really hard to put together some really awesome instruments for us musicians. And there's 1,000 things that they've got to deal with. There's advertising and component shortages and shipping. I'm sure it's endless. But I sure would like to see them push the envelope a bit.
So maybe it's time we did more of these kind of collaborations. I'd like to see something like the Noise at Warp plus a Qubit Mojave and maybe a Bastel Time Plus wrapped up in a package with 61 keys. That would be different and really cool.
Like off the charts cool. How can we make that happen?
There can only be one Oberheim XA. It was awesome and groundbreaking, and we have dozens of clones.
Same with the Prophet 5 and the DX7. Instead though, I'd like to see synth manufacturers go in a different direction and make a synth that we'll be talking about 40 years from now.
Do you Eurorack? Let me know your favorite modules in the comments, because frankly, I'm on the fence about diving in, and I'll go over why in my next video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, keep making great music, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the other side of the mountain.